Joining us now, live in Washington, D.C., Stephen K. Bannon is with us. Steve, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. It sounds like things are heating up in Georgia. I know they're heating up here. Probably one of the most important weeks in American history. Mitch McConnell said the other day that this will be the most important vote that these senators ever take, and this is to a group of senators who voted, who served as a jury and voted in an impeachment trial, only the third in the country's history, less than a year ago. And here we are with McConnell saying this is the Wednesday and I think Thursday votes now will be the most important votes they ever take.
So walk us through this. We got a lot to cover in a short period of time, Steve Bannon. Just start with walking us through what the expectation is on the 6th. What exactly happens?
Well, I think what you're seeing right now, and I believe by the end of today, you'll have close to 200 members of the House that are going to stand in defiance of this steal of President Trump's massive victory. And so I think you're going to have both in the House. You've already got a dozen in the Senate. I think you're going to have a lot more. By the end of the day, although there's been some big disappointments in Tom Cotton not signing up, so I think you're going to have both the House and the Senate. They're going to do a roll call alphabetically of the states, and as they come to a state where there's going to be a challenge, and there's going to be one right out of the box in Arizona, there'll be 2 hours of debate and 2 hours of really what I call a prosecution of the case. Both Jim Jordan is going to lead in the House, and he's organizing managers just like in the impeachment trial. I think they're assigning individual congressional teams for each state. In the Senate right now, I think it's going to be some combination of Hawley, Cruz, and some others. But you'll have 2 hours of debate, and I think presentation of facts. Obviously, Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and even McConnell, I think, are going to try to work out rules where as little evidence as possible is actually put forward. But there's a huge push to make sure the evidence, the videos, the numbers, all of it is presented really to the world. Here's the thing for your audience. All of this fight you've seen on the John Fredericks Radio Show and on War Room, we've gone all over the country and talked about rallies and talked about lawsuits and talked about, having these hearings where Rudy Giuliani went around, and sometimes they were in hotel ballrooms and sometimes they were in actual state capitals. I know a lot of times people are frustrated. Where is this all leading with? What you're trying to do is get a forcing function. Remember, you've got the oligarchs in Silicon Valley and you have the oligarchs in media, and they don't want any of this to come out. And the fact is we've forced this, and now we've forced this really into a global stage where they're not going to be able to turn their eyes away from how they stole this. And you're going to have 2 hours in the House, 2 hours in the Senate concurrently. So you think about it. If there's 6 states, and there may be 7, if there's 6 states, because New Mexico may get thrown in there too, if there's 6 states that are being questioned, that is 12 hours of debate just in one chamber. It's 24 hours combined. And on a global stage, you're going to be able to present these facts and demand the Democrats try to counter it. To date, they have not had to stand up. I think a perfect example of what we have is Roethlisberger's call at the president. If you look at the entire call of the president, it was a perfect call. If you look at the entire call, Donald Trump actually knows the facts. It's pretty shocking that Roethlisberger knows almost no facts there. 0 facts. In fact, he gets a bunch of them just dead wrong. He says there's only 2 dead people. There are over 10,000 that voted in Georgia, and 800, they actually have the names, the dates of the deaths, all of that. They're working on the list of 10,000. They have 800 now. That's irrefutable. And so this shows you the level of detail that the president's side has, and really the forces of light versus the forces of darkness, because they want to keep this hidden. They want to keep it closed. They don't want to have any discussion about it. Remember, they've tried to set up a kind of wall of sound that this is all baseless. There's no evidence to this. Well, it's quite the contrary. Look, you may debate the evidence, and you may not think the evidence rises to the level of actually decertifying Biden's electors, and that's, hey, reasonable men can disagree. I happen to think the evidence is overwhelming, and I think that leads to the conclusion, at least to decertify Biden's electors and kick this into the House of Representatives for a contingent election, where I believe it's going to go, and I've said that publicly since the middle of September. So, and I still think the path that I've laid out is the path that's ultimately going to be taken, or will come a hair's breadth to that. So this week is going to be remembered as one of the most important weeks in American history, and it's coming down to the fact of really the globalist elite versus this nationalist, populist Trump base. And what's been amazing is that this has been a grassroots effort. You know, the grassroots have demanded. Yesterday in Pennsylvania exploded. You know, I think they had 500 to 1,000 people outside the Speaker of the House's house, and also the leader of the Senate. And you saw this throughout the country, and you've seen in Georgia where Kemp's phone lines and his emails have literally melted down for people calling and demanding that people take their do their job as elected officials. So I think this is played out very well for the Trump movement against long odds, and obviously the courts never really questioning the merits of the case, but either questioning standing or using this term called latches, which really means, well, you should have done it a while ago, but never addressing the merits of it, really have taken a pass on this. And it kind of gets back to what we said is going to be in the beginning at the state legislature level. That's where this is all going to come down to Georgia and Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
So basically, Stephen K. Bannon with us. Yeah. Stephen K. Bannon, John Fredericks Radio Network. We're live in Atlanta. By the way, Steve, this is our 10-year anniversary show. Just want to tell you that. Martha Bonetta with us, Christine Bowserman, who's running our big show tomorrow night, and Garland Favorito. So basically the way this works is we're going to get 24 hours of debate. This is going to be the first time where the Democrats actually have to deal with this and defend or do whatever they have to do, but it's going to be all for the world to see. One of the issues that's gone on in Georgia right now, and that I'm going to get to tomorrow, is Garland Favorito, who's with us now from voterga.org. He's got a hearing today at 11 a.m. in front of Judge Rachel Consale. If she grants his organization the opportunity to physically and forensically inspect the mail-in ballots, 150,000 of them in Fulton County, and they're able to find that there were 30,000 ballots that were fraudulent, that were just they were just made up, printed up, not filled out, not folded, different paper. Is that not a game changer?
I think it's totally a game changer. That's why I think this is coming down. And look, I don't think this thing ends on the 6th. I've said that. I've been the one that's saying, hey, the only thing in the Constitution is high noon on the 20th. I happen to still believe we'll be fighting it through, as I see it right now, because of situations like you just mentioned, and the stiff resistance you're going to get in the House and even in the Senate. That you're going to, I think this thing gets kicked into. At least to the noon on the 20th. And hey, Nancy Pelosi for a week or two may even be acting president, because if it doesn't get resolved, the Speaker of the House becomes acting president until one of the people that have actually gotten electoral votes, and here it could only be either Joe Biden or Donald Trump, is affirmed as the president. So I think what I would tell your audience is just lock in. This thing's going to change by the hour. You're going to see personalities you never knew before who are going to step up and take huge roles. Guys like Mo Brooks, who I've known for years and is a real warrior, is now a leader in this effort. The young congresswoman from Georgia who's stepping up has just been tremendous. She was
Marjorie Greene.
She's fantastic. She's a fire breather. She was on Maria Bartiromo yesterday. You're seeing people like Josh Hawley. This is a fourth turning, and this is what happens in a fourth turning. It feels chaotic, but those that can kind of have an idea of how you can get through this thing, step up and are leaders, and that's what I think you're seeing Josh Hawley step up and be a true leader. So this is going to be intense. It's going to be urgent. Anybody that loves this country and loves where this country is going and is dedicated to make sure that we bequeath the republic that was bequeathed to us, to future generations, this is Wednesday's game day. And so there's going to be a lot of preliminaries, including, obviously, in Georgia tonight with the president's rally. It's a late-night rally at 9 o'clock. I think Pence is down there during the day. I'm still extremely disappointed, I guess is an understatement, that Kelly Loeffler has not come out, and David Perdue really has not come as hard as he could. He did say to Maria Bartiromo yesterday he would be one of the dirty dozen if he got certified. He would join guys.
But he didn't tweet it out, Steve. He didn't tweet it out. I mean, he just said it, and it was like, oh, well, I'm not going to be there, so it really doesn't matter, which is kind of...
said it, and she boxed him in, too, so it's a mealy mouth. It was totally mealy mouth. But
and then the other one goes on.
I thought Loeffler was pathetic. It was pathetic.
Pathetic.
Right there, teed it up, and she had a way to answer. And she says, I'm looking at all options. It's pretty straightforward. If you're going to be a senator, you got to make decisions, right? If you're going to be mealy mouthed, then people have to decide. And I think that's why if the Senate's lost is because of Mitch McConnell, Ward Baker, and these guys that had Laughlin Purdue run this type of campaign. I mean, the president, to me, went way out of his way more than I thought he should do, to support people that clearly didn't have his back. But we'll have to see. And tomorrow, I can tell you one thing. You talk to embarrassing people, you're going to need a massive game day turnout of pro-Trump forces tomorrow, because they haven't made any of the changes. Kemp and Roethlisberger, didn't make any changes. You get the same situation. Stacey Abrams looks like she may have run the tables.
Yeah, well, they're just going to steal it again. That's why, they're telling me.
Well, if this thing is stolen. If this thing is stolen tomorrow, the citizens of Georgia, to me, should consider either a recall or impeachment immediately of Roethlisberger and Kemp, whatever state law allows. But if this goes down, that these Senate races are lost, 1,000%. This is at the doorstep of Kemp, Roethlisberger, and Mitch McConnell.
Hey, look, no question about it. But let's get to tomorrow. Our analysis shows the Democrats go into tomorrow, Steve, ahead by about 175,000. You take another 15,000 ballots that are going to come in to 20,000 or so, 25,000 that come in tomorrow in the mail. Last-ditch effort, ballot harvesting, ballot boxes, no chain of custody, right? All that.
Look, here's the nightmare again. You need a $1 million to $1.1 million to turn out on a cold day in January, and you need a 60-40 split. Is that doable? There's nothing that's not doable for the Trump movement, and there's nothing that's not doable for President Trump. I mean, he won a massive victory on November 3rd. This whole fight has been to close on that victory. So the deplorables, there's nothing outside their reach. I will tell you that I think, and here's what I would tell people that don't, the elected officials are not on the side of President Trump and the Trump movement and trying to defend the Constitution. It's all going to come out. It's all going to come out. The investigations on this are going to go on and going to even be more intense. All of this is going to come out. It's going to come out in Michigan. It's going to come out in Wisconsin. It's going to come out in Georgia. It's going to come out in Arizona. You cannot hide from these facts. And you're going to have more investigations, more thorough investigations, like around, I think, Dominion and others, where you really have a chance to get to the facts. I actually think there's actual federal investigations going on even as we speak. And all that information is going to come out, and none of it is going to look good for Democrats. None of it's going to look good for Zuckerberg and this entire crowd. So I just tell people, hey, this thing is in the 2 months that people have had and kind of this pulled together methodology, fought at every step of the way by Republican officials. Just remember that. Republican officials voted in with your dollars, voted in with you going door to door. Look what contempt, and that's what you got to say it is. Complete contempt. They hold the voters because they're cowards. They're afraid of the media. They're afraid of the business interests. They're afraid of the social media, the oligarchs in Silicon Valley. They're cowards. They're afraid of it, and you've seen them. And that's why this is, to me, a very useful time in American history, because it's exposing those who really will stand up for this country versus those who won't.
All right, Steve. I know you have to go. Do you have 7 or 8 minutes to take calls? Or do you have to go?
I know. I got to bounce.
All right, Steve. Steve's got to bounce. John Fredericks Radio Network.